I am Adriano Donizete and I'm pleased to present our project titled Nanomaze-like Structures in Co2 iron silicon doped CO2 films via Pulsed Laser Deposition. This project is a collaboration between the Materials and Low Temperatures Laboratory LMBT at State University of Campinas, Unicamp, and the Brazilian Nanotechnology National Laboratory LN-Nano at the Brazilian Center for Research in Energy and Materials, CNPEM. The primary goal of this project is to investigate CO2 thin films in order to develop a method for reducing their planar strength to zero. Our focus was primarily on the use of CO2 in Pulsed Laser Deposition technique, PLD, where it's used in several applications such as a buffer layer, matrix for vertically aligned nanocomposites, and it has a large oxygen storage capability. Therefore, we choose SRTO03 STO as the substrate, owing to its compatible lattice parameter and its established use in the growth of vertically aligned nanocomposites (VANs) alongside CO2. In the growth of VANs, the control over the lattice parameter and planar strength is essential for the success of the formation of the desired structures. However, one of the challenges is selecting the appropriate dopant, one that could effectively reduce the strength in the CO2 film while also offering precise control over the deposition ratio as well as not interfering with CO2 oxygen storage capabilities. We investigate a broad range of elements and compounds before selecting Co2 iron silicon, or CFS, as the optimal dopant for our CO2 films. We choose PLD due to its great control over the deposition ratio of the materials in the technique. The PLD technique is performed under vacuum or on a controlled atmosphere. In this technique, a high-power laser is used to ablate a target of the chosen material, generating a plasma plume that deposits the material onto the substrate. PLD also offers the advantage for material doping by utilizing two targets of different material, alternating between them during deposition, giving us precise control over the amount of dopant incorporated into the film. Here we present a schematic of the chamber used for the PLD process. In this setup, a high-energy laser is directed onto the target material, generating a plasma plume. These plumes then travel towards the substrate. By alternating between two targets, we can have a good control over the doping process. The deposition were carried out in a controlled argon atmosphere with our substrate at a temperature of 650 degrees Celsius. In the deposition sequence was as follows. We grew a 23 nanometer layer of CO2 initially. Subsequently, we performed 180 deposition cycles in which we alternated between the targets. For each cycle, we applied 2, 5 or 10 pulses to the CFS target, followed by 50 pulses on the CO2 target. In the end, we have films with 0.5, 1 and 2% of the dopant content respectively. To analyze the lattice parameter, we employed the Cohen's method. This approach involves measuring the Bragg angles θ for planes with the same crystallography direction. By solving the resulting linear system, we are able to determine the lattice parameter, denoted as A0. Using the obtained lattice parameter, we can relate it to the bulky lattice parameter, AR, through the following equation, allowing us to calculate the strain as a percentage. Upon completing the X-ray diffraction analysis, we observed the shifts in the CO2 peaks. Using Cohen's method, we plotted a graph of strain percentage versus dopant percentage. The results showed that with the incorporation of the CFS, there was an inversion in the type of strain, where the strain at 0.5 CFS had a higher strain in modulus. As the CFS concentration increased, we observed a reduction in the overall strain of the film. As the dopant concentration of CFS dopant increased, we obtained a CO2 film with strain approaching zero. We analyzed the surface of our films using SEM. Our CO2 film exhibited a surface with some roughness, which was in line with our expectations. But the images of the 0.5 CFS doped film presented formations of a maze-like pattern on the surface, composed of small CO2 grains that wasn't expected. Upon conducting SEM imaging of the 1% and 2% CFS doped films, the same maze-like structure was present, and the grain size increased with the amount of dopant. In the 2% film, we also observed the emergence of triangular patterns on the surface. When comparing the films side by side, we observed a clear increase in grain size along with the development of a distinct nanomaze-like structure, as we observed the inversion of strain in the films. In conclusion, we successfully inverted the strain in the CO2 films and reduced it by doping them with cobalt-2 iron silicon. Additionally, we observed the formation of a nanomaze-like structure which grew in size as the dopant concentration increased. With this in mind, we plan to further investigate the formation of the nanomaze structure using read during deposition. This will help us determine whether CFS doping is altering the growth mode of the CO2 films from a 2D to a 3D growth mode, or if other factors are at play. Additionally, we aim to examine how the formations of those structures and the presence of the dopant influence the electrical conductivity of the films. Furthermore, we intend to explore higher dopant concentrations in an effort to achieve a strain-free film, as well as vary the deposition temperatures to investigate its impacts on the strain behavior of the system. With that, I would like to thank the technical support offered at CNPEM and at Unicamp. As well, thanks the Brazilian funding agencies and Magnetochemistry, a journal of MDPI editor. Thanks for your time.